Yes, Robbie Duffield, there is a Chris on the stream. He's here. Welcome. Did you like my yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus reference? Chris, welcome back.
Yes,
this is like having the Chris Pike of Starfleet Boy on. You're like... How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm at work, but there's no museum, so
your audio's a little low for me. I don't know if it's just for everyone else.
Let me try to see it. Can you hear me better now?
Oh yeah, that's better.
Yeah, I think that's a little better.
Then we get a nice tight shot. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Go ahead and do a quick test. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Test 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right, great. All right, I think that's acceptable. We're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today, we're focused on Star Trek: The Original Series episode Miri.
Miri. It's a Nirvana song.
That's right. Which I had never made until very recently. I never made the connection that they were connected in any way. That's really crazy. And we have Chris of Myth Duster. How do you actually say your your handle?
It's just random. I just made it up because I couldn't spell Myth Dusters on YouTube at the time. So Myth Dusters. Only there like that.
You know, I can. Robbie's getting a real kick out of the fact that you're at your job and you're doing this. That you're playing hooky on Starfleet Boy, or maybe you're allowed to. You could be like, it could be fine. I hope you don't get in trouble for being on Starfleet Boy. But I was gonna say, I can say this to you, Chris, because I've known you for many years through my channel. You always spell Troy wrong every single time. Every time you mention Troy, and I'm like, I know he knows. It's not Trio, it's Troy, which is really funny.
Well, the O key and the I key are right next to each other.
I know, they're totally right next to each other.
On the standard QWERTY keyboard, so...
That wasn't meant as a jab. I love it. I think it's endearing. It's really nice.
I'm also the one that's spelling Mythbusters wrong, but hey.
Well, cheers to you. Welcome back to our show. This is your second appearance on Starfleet Boy. We didn't have technical issues. I'm really happy. And I'm glad you're here because you mentioned in the comments this is your mom's favorite episode. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to say about it. But we start off with a little quick episode summary. Do you want to, since you're the guest today, our newest member of the crew, do you want to give the summary?
Sure. Well, this is the episode where they go on an away mission and find out that everyone's getting these weird spots on their hands and face and everything. And this is the episode where we find out children after a certain age really quickly in a scary way. And so they have to solve it. And Dr. McCoy eventually finds the cure. And that's the end of the episode.
that was like the quickest and probably one of the most succinct summaries on Starfleet Boy, so I really appreciate it. And what I just want to add, though, that you failed to mention, and I'm gonna be a bet. Why doesn't anyone remember that there were two Earths, like a mirror Earth? There's like no.
Well, it ain't the only time that's gonna happen either.
What is it? Breed of surfaces? There's also other Earth pretty much practically the same. So I mean, the original series, they love doing. Look, it's an exact copy of the Earth, but
what is the deal with that? What is that?
Because it conveniently looks like the backlot that you have, where you have like a very standard American Earth city that you can shoot on. So it's convenient. It's convenient for planets to look like exact replicas of Earth.
Except for the city on the edge of forever.
Yeah, it's like the same backlot that they use a lot in Star Trek.
It's just that this is a duplicate. Like, do you mean to tell me we see another duplicate of the planet Earth, like with the same continental configuration and everything? Yeah. Like, this happened
again. It's gonna happen.
Why did I block that out? Like, I don't remember. I don't remember that. That's crazy. I didn't remember this about Miri either.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just kind of, after they get used to the original series and they've seen these episodes a lot, they kind of just take it for granted that, oh yeah, it was a duplicate Earth. I remember like my friend was watching this episode for the first time a couple of years ago, and he said that he was so curious about why is there a duplicate Earth, and he kept waiting for there to be like this big payoff where they figure out why, and they never do.
Not only that, they're not like terribly shocked about it either. They're like not. They're not like. It's just like, oh, I mean, Rand is a little bit. I think I felt like Rand was a little bit shocked. Okay,
well,
I got it out of my system.
I think I can explain why that might have happened. But
go ahead.
Well, later on in the original series, in the episode in season 3 of the Paradise Syndrome, with Kirk gets hit on the head and thinks he's a Native American named Kirok, basically.
Yes.
And
that's right.
Anyways, one of the things that they explain in that episode is that, like, oh, these people were like taken to this planet by these ancient preservers, this ancient alien race, and Dr. McCoy suggests that, like, oh, maybe they were like taking people off of Earth throughout the years, and that's why we keep running into these very like human-like people.
Oh, interesting. And
maybe,
hence like these.
Yeah, maybe they were also creating like copies of Earth as well, to like, for whatever their weird reasons for preserving humanity.
That's actually a really great theory, and what I like about it too is because, I mean, in Picard it's very casually dropped that there's a long dead civilization that moved 8 stars to create an octenary star system, right? So why not if someone has the technology to move stars like the Time Lords do in another franchise, then why wouldn't they be able to actually fabricate a whole new Earth, like in Hitchhiker's Guide, where they actually create Earth, a second Earth or whatever, which is kind of an interesting concept. Good call. There is a science. I'm probably getting this wrong because it's been many years, but in astrophysics, there's a theory or a concept that if you were travel far enough and fast enough, that you would eventually encounter a duplicate of the galaxy. The universe would be like a repeating pattern in a sense, and that you would actually encounter a duplicate Earth. The probability of a duplicate Earth is not completely zero, in other words. So that's interesting.
I don't think it's very likely, but that could be my small-minded Earth brain can't handle the infinite vastness of the cosmos.
Daniel's CEO is here, or KO. I'm not sure if I say it's KO because CEO.
Yeah, you make it sound like he's like a CEO of a company.
He's the CEO of this show. Daniel is the CEO of Starfleet LLC. That's right. So Daniel's here, and if you look in the background of the town square, you will find Floyd's barbershop. I didn't spot that. I'll have to go back and watch now.
Not a surprise.
I think the two Earths thing goes back to Gene Roddenberry's original pitch to execs at MGM in 1964. That was a show would work on the premise of the parallel worlds theory, which is other worlds, which in other worlds would. That's very cool. Thank you so much. This is my standard uniform that I wear for these discussions because I don't have a proper TOS replica, so I use the next best thing, and this was given to me by my good friend Gary from Trucker Prize, so it was a gift. I can hook you up with
some good cheap very accurate Starfleet uniforms.
Oh, please do.
They might not be official CBS merchandise though.
That's okay. I'm not I won't be too. I support the community as well. I support creators that make very good replicas of things, so I love that. We also got, let's see, Daniel's got a lot to say. I think the two Earth thing goes back to, we already read that. Sorry. Make it possible to produce the show on a planet that looks like our own, which could. Yes, it's true, to save money. Thinking like a CEO. I love it, Daniel. Very true. Very true. I did write down the name of Miri, which is Kim Darby, and she was born in 1947, and she's still around. What was the name of the character, the boy? Did they give him a name?
Jan or John?
John, yeah, that's right. So Michael J. Pollard plays that character, and he died in 2019, so just last year.
Yeah, we should mention like how old these actors were when they're playing these supposedly like tweens. But yeah, he was how old? He would have been 27.
Yeah. Oh, so he
26?
looked a lot younger than his age because
Yeah, and she would have been like 19 or 20.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fascinating because they do read, both of them read a lot younger on screen. That I mean, I could have sworn they were like closer to their 15, like the age of 15 or whatever. We also in the summary didn't talk about the whole thing that there's a lot of the virus was based on puberty, and like so it affects you only if you're going through puberty or if you've passed puberty. So like that's why they were kids for 300 years.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
what
Crazy.
what on earth is that? Like how did they actually survive? I didn't. That was one thing about. No, I know it's true. But I guess we could talk about the onlys. Chris, what do you have to say about the onlys? Is that what they were called, the onlys?
Yeah, the onlys being the children and kind of their language, their childlike language that they developed over the 300 years of their eternal childhood. They call the adults that have all died off, or grumps, derived from grown-ups, and then the onlys are the only ones left are the children.
The grups, that's right. Oh, Daniel, thank you. So now I'll never say it CEO ever again. It's Daniel CEO.
So the E is silent. It's CO.
No, yes. or the C is like an S.
Now I
No, you just say every letter except for the E.
Right.
That's right.
It's CO.
Captain EO. Captain CO is way cooler than Captain EO.
No, that was a whole other thing.
Thanks for letting us know.
Kids in the episode, doesn't he also? He plays in a couple episodes of the original series. Doesn't he play like Kirk's nephew in an episode, and also in the third season he comes as one of the children, and I believe that's John Magna is the kid that goes bonk bonk on everybody.
Yeah, he looks like
right on.
He looks like a little kid, Rod Serling too.
He does look like Rod Serling, little kid.
It occurred to me last night when I was rewatching this. Like, yeah, that kid has such a familiar looking face.
Well, he's also the inventor of the beam, which Jerry Goldsmith uses for Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Wait, what's that? What?
He is the inventor of the instrument called the beam that Jerry Goldsmith uses in that Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
That don't
the V'ger, like the V'ger noise.
V'ger kind of weird sound, or Vulcan.
Bum, 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 bum. That's a great piece to be reminded of.
And he actually worked on the score for Star Trek Continues for the last couple episodes, and brought that beam for it. So
that's pretty cool knowledge that I had not. Very nice. This is like having you in our comments, but live. You're just like dropping the knowledge. Now we know that Chris does not look these things up because you weren't on your phone looking it up, right?
Well, sometimes I'd look it up, but this is stuff I knew prior knowledge. So
that's amazing. So I guess we've already done your Star Trek story the first time you came on the show, right? So can you tell us like your story about this episode and your mom?
Yeah, this is my mom's favorite episode of the original series. I'm not sure why she likes it, other than the fact it's got the children and everything. Might be the romance story with Yeoman Rand and Kirk,
and Miri.
Right. And she really likes, I think, the main older kid that's leading it. I can't remember. Is it John?
He clearly likes Miri. There's a lot of romance in this episode, which is why I hated it when I was a kid.
I hated
when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was like really.
It is a little uncomfortable when the hero of the show has to manipulate a 12-year-old to fall in love with him. For someone who appears to be 12, who's actually like over 300.
I didn't even remember that subtext or that like kind of note but I definitely kind of felt uncomfortable watching it. I watched it a couple times for this discussion, and like the first time I was like, whoa, what's up with Captain Kirk? Like, why is he like manipulating Miri? And then I thought about it and I was like, they're like literally gonna die if they if they don't like act quickly. He has to get her to like trust him so fast, and he uses his he throws all his points into his good looks and charm and uses it. By the way, that was a brilliant discussion last night. I had a lot of fun. Were you watching, Chris? Did you come to our Text Trek Lower Decks? You were there. Yeah, it's true.
I think you're muted.
No, we lost you.
Oh, did you? Oh,
yeah. Now
I had my microphone muted by accident.
That was nice.
Out of papers. Shredding business papers. So.
That's a great for our ASMR audience. We do have a component, but I do appreciate you muting it so that we don't hear the staples in the background, but it's all right. I think it's been fun so far. We got some more comments here. Did I put this one up here? Kim Darby is a wonderful actor who can also be seen in the original 1968 version of True Grit alongside John Wayne and Glenn Campbell. Oh, that's cool. Like the singer Glenn Campbell? That's awesome.
Yeah, this is a really good movie. The original True Grit and the new one, the Coen Brothers one. They're both good.
By the time I get to Phoenix, she'll be sleeping.
Now, what do you guys think of that first older person that shows up in the movie? That like kind of freaked me out when I first saw the movie.
Yeah,
$1,000,000%. Yeah.
What do you call
Louise.
it? The tricycle, right? That's what.
Yeah.
The trike.
Louise. I think that was Louise, right?
How do you think the makeup holds up today?
It holds up. It's still freaky.
Yeah, it has that like quasi-human, quasi-real look to it. The shot of Dr. McCoy spinning the wheel on the tricycle would later be homaged in Enterprise in the episode Terra Nova, where Malcolm Reed discovers a upside-down tricycle like that. But I guess like the kind of the theme of this episode is that aging can be scary to like a kid, like the idea of like becoming an adult and having to do all the like adult things.
Also that when you are post-pubescent, you're going to get diseases and die.
Well, yeah, it's a little like heavy-handed here, like the horror side of it. But I think it's about like that idea of like whenever you're having to like do things for the first time, it can be like kind of like scary or kind of like unnerving, and like a lot of kids are like, like as much as like kids like look forward to like being like big kids and getting to like do stuff. There's also like a little bit of scariness, like when you have to like ride a bike without training wheels for the first time, or like what the one for me like growing up was like I remember being like really nervous like the first day of high school when I was going from 8th grade into 9th grade. I was like for whatever reason I was like kind of like I was kind of scared of like being in like that environment. Just like I kind of like dreaded it like all summer. So like, and also like when you get older and you start developing more like romantic feelings towards people, that can be like a little, that can be something that like makes kids nervous because you're like, oh my god, what do I do? How do I handle this? So
and I remember distinctly
all that stuff's kind of in here.
I was hung out with older kids, and I remember distinctly when they started pairing off, and it was frightening for me as a younger child. I was like, what on earth is happening? Like I think it was like, what is this? And so yeah, I totally see what you're saying.
So you have like this culture of kids, and they're all like, yeah, we're just like fun kids. We just like to play games and stuff, and then one by one they turn into monsters.
I guess we'll talk about this a little bit. I just found it hard to believe that they survived that long. Like, how could they have like made it successfully? I mean, I guess they're not successful. 300 years later, there's only like a handful of them. So I guess that's true. We are seeing them towards the end of it, but it is a horrific.
There's like pockets of kids in other parts of the planet.
Yeah, it's possible. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare planet. What's that?
Is there a reason why they beam down to that specific spot? Do they ever say?
They got the SOS, remember? At the beginning.
Yeah, okay.
So the SOS came from there. I don't remember if the show answers who triggered it.
It was just like an old transmission from like their apocalypse event. Think of how scary that would have been. Like some of the kids that can remember it. You know, like some of them I guess were babies when it happened, but like the older ones, they saw like when every adult turned into like a murder rage zombie and just went batshit insane.
It is what happened. It's insane. It is kind of gnarly. Like, it's true. Like, when the majority of the Grups finally died off, it must have been insane. And then, but what I want to know is, like, where's the food for 300 years? Like, there were no farms or agrarian looking things going on. Like, the kids just ran wild through these cities. Like, were they eating rats? I guess they're eating rats. They must be eating rats. They must be catching and eating rats. It's gross.
I guess, like, the canned food probably would have ran out at some point
for sure. I mean, like the Twinkies definitely, I mean, though they have a 500-year shelf life, they definitely ran out in the first 20 years. There were no more Twinkies after that. I wonder, we talked about this a little bit, and I'm not going to give too many spoilers, or we're not going to steer this discussion away from Star Trek for too long, but a concept comes up of like learning in stasis, like in this show Raised by Wolves. So like if you have to travel these great distances, like let's say from our star to another star to like I don't know, Alpha Centauri or something like that. If you're a kid on this journey, you could go into stasis so your body doesn't age, but you'll be in a virtual shared environment with everyone else on the ship, and you can have school and everything and start learning. So could you imagine for like 100 years you're in stasis and you learn and master like who knows what, like whatever you want as a kid, and when you come out of stasis you're still in your kid body, but you've had 100 years of experiences mentally, and that kind of like reminded me of that. Miri, in an odd way, reminded me of that. Although these kids were severely underdeveloped. They never grew. They never, like 300 years did not give them much of a, well, I guess they live on a hell planet, so why would they? But I don't know. It was very I found all that very fascinating and unbelievable. What's that, Chris? Sorry.
I agree with that. I'm like, really, like, the believability. I don't know what the writers were thinking when they made that episode. Yeah. Obviously, you didn't think that out. Because I would think even too that they'd be making out after a while, even if they didn't age.
I don't know if they would. I would have. They're stuck. They're saying they're stuck developmentally as children, right? Like, so I don't know if they. And they did find it gross.
They're not totally stuck. It's just like super slowed down. Like. It takes
kids do make out, because there were girls trying to make out with me in 3rd grade. So I mean, I know that does happen.
You're just irresistible ladies, man.
And I was like, ew.
Yeah, but even at elementary level, you're thinking about dating, because you see
it's like I think that society 100% plants like the kind of structure of like adult life in a kid-friendly way from an early age. So yeah, we do learn. Yeah, it's just how I think most people grow up that way. I mean, at least here in the USA. That's getting me all nostalgic now for childhood, and like I feel like there needs to be a new version of American Graffiti made for people who are in their 40s now.
Episode 1, Anakin had a crush on Padme, and he was like, what, 9 years old? So why wouldn't they have a crush and Miri? I mean,
was Anakin 9 in
I don't know.
In episode 1?
He's 9 years old in episode 1.
Chris, we're going way off topic here. Anakin is not about Star Trek the original series.
We don't need to talk about that other Star franchise.
But yes, children children, as they get closer to puberty and they become tweens, definitely start crushing on older people. I can remember having a couple of crushes on Michelle Pfeiffer and also
Returns? So
was that?
Was it Batman Returns?
Yes.
In 92? Yeah,
Yes.
I remember seeing that in the theater, and like I thought things watching that movie as a kid that I had never thought before. I walked out of that theater like a little bit more mature than I walked in.
Michelle Pfeiffer is responsible for corrupting us. Thanks, Michelle Pfeiffer. We got a bunch of comments in the chat, so I'm going to go to them for a second. We have Daniel Co saying Michael Pollard was a good friend of Warren Beatty's and appeared in many movies with him. So yeah, but that's right. He was in Bonnie and Clyde and Dick Tracy. I didn't realize he was in Dick Tracy. That's so cool. The Bonk Bonk boy played young Hyman Roth in a deleted scene in Godfather Part 2. Did not know that. Bonk Bonk. That's right. They were, and
Yeah,
what were the games called? The Foolies. Bonk Bonk on the head. And nanny, nanny, nanny. Mr. Lovey Dovey.
Yeah, Bonk Bonk on the head. That's something that the Mission Logs podcast that they've covered every episode of the original series, the animated series, most of the movies, all of Next Generation, and they're working on Deep Space Nine now.
Oh, right on.
They have like the saying of like when Star Trek can be like a little ham-fisted in its messages sometimes, and they refer to that as when it's kind of like bonk bonk on the head, like beating you over the head with something. Like this dude is half white and half black, and this dude is half black and half white. It's like racism.
Bonk on the head.
Bonk bonk on the head. Yeah, like I get it.
That's genius.
I always thought bonk bonk on the head is a Flintstone thing.
It might be from Bam Bam. The problem I have with this episode is pretty much the same problem with Charlie X. The children were all written with the same sort of 8-year-old sort of maturity, and I feel that TOS episodes and I feel where was I? Sorry. I feel TOS and TNG episodes dealing with child characters are written in a very pedestrian manner. How many 16-year-olds do you know say bonk bonk on the head? Well, that's just the thing that was curious about this, because the added layer, in my opinion, Daniel, the added layer of the fact that they have like nearly unlimited, 300 years of like where you can't really develop, like they're prepubescent. So the chemicals that create like maturity, not just sexual maturity, but maturity in general, like the puberty creates the magical reaction that turns us into like adult humans, right? Like men grow beards, women grow breasts. Like, I don't know why beards and breasts, it's just because they rhyme. They don't rhyme, but it's like two B's. Although a bearded lady would have a beard and a breast. Yes, you can have both. So my point is that I think they were at a disadvantage in that they couldn't physically turn into adults, even though they could have experiences of 300 years. So it's a very I don't know if it is. I think they may have been touching on something, but of course you can't explore it fully in one episode, right? Like you're not going to be able to like learn everything you need to know about these people in just one episode.
And also, I think like how they refer to like the before time and stuff like that. It implies that kind of like society has not just stagnated, but society is like broken down, and like language is kind of like broken down and reverted. It's interesting, the idea of like there's also like the young ones, like the little babies and toddlers, like the older kids are having to like take care of them, so they're the ones, like probably don't remember the before time, and so they're the ones that are the most messed up.
Robbie, we forgive you, but that's what's the beauty of YouTube is you can go back and watch that episode and come back and watch our discussion, or you can just stick around and get all the spoilers for this episode.
They said before time. I was thinking land before time. Like obviously they.
And also like in there's the Star Trek Voyager episode Nemesis, not to be confused with Star Trek Nemesis. Right. Season 4 where Chakotay is on that planet with the people that kind of look like Predator.
Right.
They're fighting. And
that's a good episode actually.
Yeah, it's a good one. But like they have like a really weird language like that I thought was actually pretty well written, and I kind of enjoy the way that they speak in that. But they have like a lot of like weird phrasing. I think they say like they don't say before time, they say the long, long ago. And they talk about
long ago.
I think that one works better. The long, long ago. And I actually like the kid in that one better. And the Voyager episode, Nemesis.
Them way back times. That's the beginning of Starfleet Boy. Daniel says, the thing that worked for me in this episode, I like the idea of a life prolongation experiment gone wrong. I really tuned into that this rewatching, and I was very, obviously because of the times we live in, the virus came like I was really clued into the virus. This was an interesting thing to be presented in the late 60s, I think, because I I don't remember hearing about this concept till like my teenage years, but I remember in school there was a lot of talk about how like scientists and we're starting to look at aging as a disease itself. And now we're starting to think of viruses in a whole new way, where we are seeing that viruses might be able to do things like kill other viruses or kill bacteria, for example, in order to help us. So instead of just using antibiotics, science is starting to look into using viruses to also handle infections and things like that. And that scares the crap out of me because of this episode, because I'm like, what if one of those viruses turns into the Miri virus and we all die as a result of it? So I don't know. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I watch a lot of Star Trek. I'm kind of always rewatching Star Trek, and it definitely stands out to me the number of episodes that deal with a viral outbreak or some type of like disease is taking over a planet or something. It happens a lot, unless you're Spock, and then you're probably going to be immune.
Right.
I think this is the first time like Spock had immunity to something.
No, there was something else that what was it? I don't think this is the first time. I think
the naked time he still succumbed.
He's resistant to it, but he succumbs to it. Yeah, he's like highly resistant, but he's not immune. It's true.
Now, the disease like a callback to radiation back in the day, because like even what they have on their skin, it looks a lot like radiation poisoning. And when you look at the atomic bomb differences that they would study from Japan, from everybody who got exposed, a lot of that reminds me of just looking at people who were exposed to nuclear radiation.
I'll tell you what, this episode deserves a short treks or like some sort of like, even if it's an animated short treks, which we can have, like it. I think that like it'd be a neat deep dive and a relevant kind of moral story to go back and see these scientists who worked in that same lab. So it would be the same set, because they also, not only do they find they seem to find the epicenter of where the virus began too, because that lab seems to be where it all started. And it's ironic that it's also where it all ends too. So I think that, it is convenient. And but like, it's just cool that like that was going on. Here we have Alexandra. Yay. Alexander says, oh wait, hold on. I'm just lurking. Have you opened in a different tab, because I have nothing to contribute, but hearing you talk about it is the only way I can take TOS semi-seriously and possibly occasionally enjoy it. Oh wow, what a huge thank you. That we appreciate that. We will try to continue to charm you through your tab. And no offense taken to TOS lovers. These TOS lovers, at least I don't think so.
Alexandra, there are like a couple episodes that you should try to watch before we talk about them. Like I would recommend City on the Edge of Forever and Balance of Terror. You might if other episodes are hard for you to watch, you might be able to connect to those two.
Right.
They're pretty good.
The
very cool.
They're really tough to watch. Like the first few. It takes a while before they start showing the good episodes in the original series. I was looking at the comment above that. Daniel CEO, he's got a good one about the technology question.
The whole plot point of technology potentially going wrong and destroying us is a classic sci-fi trope. Yeah, 100%.
It's kind of one that I am a little tired of, and I kind of resist these days when I see it. Like especially in. I know Doctor Who has done it a lot. Like Doctor Who will have like, oh, there's like some science experiment gone horribly wrong, and now like all these people are going to die from it unless the doctor can fix it. Like that's kind of like technophobic, and it's kind of like it's almost kind of like anti-science. Like we can't trust like these scientists and all like their new weird technology. I prefer stories of like people using that to our advantage instead of like these cautionary tales. Like I love the Frankenstein novel by Mary Shelley. It's like kind of one of the earliest pieces of science fiction. But that idea has been just played out so much over the years. The Ultimate Computer is like another big example of like Star Trek doing that, and I think that kind of bothers me too. It's not like the AI stuff they've done on Discovery and Picard in recent years.
There's a real balance, Fathery, to what you're saying, because there are like occasions where I think that, like, to speak to what you're saying, it's like a new turn or a new twist on that idea is always refreshing, and I think for the time this was very new. Or like at least among the new, like this kind of concept of like a virus, this whole thing about like using a virus to like prolong life and like all that, like it's to me it's just mind blowing. And so yeah, but you're absolutely right, like the AI idea, although this is not technology so much, maybe medical technology, I guess. So yeah, you're right. So it is technophobic in that sense, but it's still I believe it. I'm scared. I mean, I'm living in a pandemic world. Like, come on, like we have to be really, really careful. I think we always just need a one little extra scary tale about viruses. I think we got a title for the short track: "Crisis on Earth 2." I love it. Is it Earth 2? Is this what the show Earth 2 is based on? TOS started it all. There is no offspring without its parents. That is very, very true, Robbie. Very true. Let's see. I did try a list of TOS must episodes put together by Enchant of Eternity back during the DSC season 1. Oh, cool. Were the episodes that we mentioned on that list? This is how I discovered that I can't handle TOS all that well. I'd love to see what that list is. We should make a Starfleet Boy list after we do these discussions, like a introductory, like a mix list.
My list is all of it. Watch like all 800 episodes of Star Trek.
Welcome to the stream, Shishan Girl. Hello. Hi everyone. I'm lurking as well, listening while cook. Oh, cool. What are you cooking? Let us know. Happy to see you again. Feeling better. I am feeling better because I'm having this tea and I've taken some medicines, but I also slept a lot because today's a marathon day as far as live streams go. Because directly after this, we're going to go talk about, not directly after this, but
we're going to have
a little respite. We're going to talk about Star Trek Day on Text Trek, and so come and join us there. And then later tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be on a Question of Trek. So this and the next stream might be the only ones that you see me on video because I feel rough. I don't know if I look rough, but we got a question. Someone once said that the great things behind great science fiction storytelling are the warnings and enticements. Yeah, that's a really cool statement.
The question above that was, what's your favorite series?
That was for Alexandra specifically. That's why I didn't put it on here. But I am curious as well. So yeah, it's a good question.
Our favorite series. I say it's like
Robbie doesn't want to know what our favorite series is. No, Robbie should know. I think he's been watching enough Starfleet Boy to know mine. Do you know, Chris? What's my favorite Star Trek series?
Isn't it Next Generation?
Yes.
Sure it is. Picard.
It's not yet. Picard hasn't ended. Like, I can't say that about it. And I have to say, like, this is something that I hate confessing, but I've said it a couple times. Like, Star Trek's not the best science fiction on TV right now. It's actually The Expanse and Raised by Wolves.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Mandalorian.
Oh, Mandalorian's more sci-fi fantasy. It's a different genre. I won't put it in the same thing. But Discovery season 3 may change that. We'll see.
For me,
we shall see.
Star Trek series was my favorite. I'd either go with TNG or Voyager.
What about you, Father? Is TOS your favorite, right?
DS9.
Oh, DS9. That's right.
That's to be DS9.
TOS is like by far like my second. Like Deep Space Nine, I love the most, and then like I really love the original series. And I kind of include the animated series with that. It's like all the rest of Star Trek. But next would be like the next step on the list.
Now, introduction to the animated series, like how early did you get into the animated series?
I saw when they were doing like the reruns on Nickelodeon for a little bit in the 90s. That was the first time I'd ever like seen it. But at the time, like I was like, this is interesting, but it's not real Star Trek. And that was kind of like the official stance on it. Is, like this is like non-canon. And I remember like I subscribed to Star Trek the magazine. They put out like the issue all about the animated series. I was like, well, I don't want to like learn more about this. And then it wasn't until just like a few years ago when I started listening to Aaron Harvey's Saturday Morning Treks podcast, which I only listened to because he was showing up on like other podcasts that I was listening to, like the Women at Warp and a few others. Like, who is this guy Aaron Harvey who keeps showing up talking about how the animated series is good, how it was actually always supposed to be canon, and all this? Like, what is he talking about? And like, it finally convinced me to like go back and like rewatch it. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is essentially season 4 of the original series. And it's a better season than season 3. So
Aaron,
I love it.
Aaron Harvey's awesome. Aaron Harvey's awesome, and also he sometimes makes appearances on our streams, which is always, I get excited. And there we go. Yes, here, let me put you on. Let me give you the center stage here.
So everyone should buy this book, Star Trek: The Official Guide to the Animated Series. That is written by Aaron Harvey and Rich Shepis, who have both appeared on the Text Trek podcast.
Yes. Robbie's favorite is DS9 also, and he started with TNG. Oh, look at that. Beautiful book. I got to order my copy. Thanks for reminding me, Fathery.
Oh, I have to leave a little early because the museum closes at 4.
Oh my gosh, this has been such a delight. The fact that it worked finally, which is great.
But I'm willing to give my review of the episode before I leave. Now.
All right, you can give your rating and your final thoughts, and we won't give ours till I have a few more discussion points that I want to go over, but go ahead.
I would give this about a 3 or a 2. It's not one of my favorite episodes if it was out of a ranking of 5 stars. You guys
wow.
Usually, but it's not one of my favorite episodes.
I feel differently about it. I'm not going to say my rating yet, but you'll hear it, Chris, later on. So a 3 or a 4? Which one was it? A 4 or 3? 4?
Meet in the middle. It's a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, just do a 5.
I think it's a little bit below 5 for me. It's not an average episode.
It's a 4.7.
4.7. Oh, that's a perfect number, actually.
So it's not a that I come back to very often.
All right, stick with us as long as you can, but I can't end the show without mentioning the Lord of the Flies, which I thought a lot about when I was watching this episode. Have you guys read or seen one of the versions of the Lord of the Flies?
I've never read it, but I've heard so many people talk about it that I feel like I know everything that happens in that book from beginning to end.
Right.
Yeah.
Same view on it.
I think this was like the Lord of the Flies on a planetary scale with a sci-fi twist. Like, it was just a bunch of children left on their own, essentially, to fend for themselves, and a society emerges from that. It's like a really weird, bizarre society that's like part like, childlike wonder, but also very dark, because children also haven't developed some of the empathy and emotions that you need to be like, like caring and kind and stuff like that.
That does kind of invite a conversation about humanism and the origin of morality. And are humans, like, at our heart, at our core, at our just like purest, most raw state, which is childhood, are we good? Or are we cruel and we learn goodness from society? And if you take the kids out of society, like in Lord of the Flies or like in Miri, what do you get?
And to add just a little pepper to that statement, is it because childhood in and of itself allows for cruelty in a way that adulthood doesn't, because you're not as fragile in some ways when you are a kid? You're very protected. You're in a perfect little world. You're allowed to have a childhood, especially today, or like even in general, children are, like in nature, children are geared. They're like built to be, survival. Like the reason why we have bigger eyes when we're kids is because we have to appear cute to our potential enemies so that we can survive. It's amazing. There's all kinds of like
that one.
Yeah, like there's all kinds of reality. There's all kinds of not realities, but just like things at play. So this is a very good conversation. I think that's why this episode to me strikes all these like things. It's a good point.
There's also like you have like just like a different level of like survival instincts as a kid, like being like scared of the dark. Like do you remember like just being like scared if like someone turned all the lights off, or like if you're alone, if like all the adults just like go and leave and you're like, oh, I'm just like out here by myself.
Like what did those first times? Yes. Oh wow, what a cool thing to be reminded of, Father. It's like, I just got like such a weird like goosebump feeling because I haven't thought of those things. I'm an old man, so I haven't thought of those things in a long time. We do have another section that I wanted to talk about, which we already talked about Kirk and Miri, but I guess we should talk a little bit about Kirk and Rand. And also there was Daniel Co was saying something about this in the comments. Where was it? I love the Rand Kirk look at my legs moment. That was beautiful filmmaking, in my opinion. What did you guys think of that?
Always thought that was a little cringy. Like even when I was young watching this decades ago,
really,
I thought it was a little weird that she would like. I don't know. It just seemed like I'm not one of these people like some of our friends that really harp on like that's unprofessional for Starfleet. They shouldn't act like that. I don't really like beat that drum too much. But yeah, here
this scene actually shows that they are professional like 99% of the time. This is like a really what I think is like something that you forget easily because of the fact that like maybe is that they're in a life or death situation. But what I liked about it is that like we get this confession from Yeoman Rand, and Kirk seems genuinely surprised at it. Like he's a little bit taken aback by it, and he doesn't really know how to react. And then like the acting is so good, like when she's like, look at my legs, and he's like kind of hesitant to look down because he knows, and when he does look there, you see that her legs are all blotched with the the virus on there. And I think the makeup works really effectively. It's like it's wild, it's like bright colors or whatever, but it still works really effectively in this. And it was heartbreaking because here's like a woman who thinks she's just going to die at any moment, and she's giving her like final kind of confession of love to this person who she knows doesn't love her that way. And it's just like I felt all that. It was like very
he kind of does, but like he won't allow himself.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is that like he can't deny how gorgeous she is. Like, to him, she definitely is attractive, and we've seen that in other episodes too, in more cringier ways than this one. I thought this was a good way. I thought this was the least cringy way that it's been presented.
I wish that we could have had more Yeoman Rand. We've already covered almost all the episodes with her. I think she's in 2 more. She's in Balance of Terror, and she's in the Conscience of the King. But
is that right? No, I think she's in 13. No, I think that there'll be 13 episodes with her, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think there's only 8 episodes.
That sucks.
But I always wish that they had kept her around and done more with her, but not if it would just be the whole like, well, will they, won't they, with like her and Kirk, and like, oh, they like each other, but they can never be together, and that would it already got old just in like these few episodes. So I would have liked more Yeoman Rand, but I also wish that they would have just given her more stuff to do.
Guten Abend to I think it's Vole or Vol Kirsch from Germany. I'm so excited that we have folks tuning in from Germany. It's very neat. Welcome. Good points. I think I've just about run out. We have a few more comments, which is we got to promote Fathery and Starfleet Boy will be on A Question of Trek. What a magnificent pairing. Thank you. I root for you both. I think I'm so excited, Fathery. Robbie, shout out to you again, by the way, for being the first teammate that helped me win. So congratulations. There are no winners and losers on A Question of Trek. Truly, we are a Starfleet-based spirit of fun, spirit of competition based show. So there's no sort of winning or losing on there. But it was nice to finally break my streak of losing, and it was great that our team was the first. So that will be something I will never forget, Robbie. Thank you. And tonight we're gonna crush Father and I are going to destroy the other team.
You just said there are no winners or losers. How are you going to destroy them?
Captain's prerogative. Father, captain's prerogative. It showed what the writers had in mind for the Kirk-Rand relationship. Yep, definitely did. And remember, they're now being influenced by the effects of the virus. That's true. It made them very irritable, and another mood-changing thing. By the way, not to kind of like make it scary and real, but there are cases where the coronavirus, if you're also dehydrated and have other complications, can actually mess with your mental state. And I've heard about it from firsthand accounts, so that's kind of scary. But anyways, viruses are scary. I just want to get rid of all of them. Is there a way? Is there like a Janeway protocol for viruses?
A little tiny microscopic virus sure can be an asshole.
I think we deserve to. My closing statement for discussion topic for today is what has become of Miri's Earth. I think it deserves a follow-up. There hasn't been in Alpha canon or whatever, right?
No, yeah, they've never acknowledged this planet, as far as I know, in any way, unless like the name. They ever give this planet a name? It might appear on like a star chart, I think, but that would be like the only connection. Something like super trivial like that.
Is it called Miri's Earth? Do we call it that? Is that fair?
It should be.
At the end of the episode, Kirk states that Starfleet or the Federation is sending basically teachers and basically social workers, like future social
contact ship.
There's second exactly. So don't you think it means
23rd century equivalent of the Cerritos? They're gonna have their own little lower deck type people. They're gonna show up there and do like the second contact stuff.
That was a very nice tie-in to Lower Decks, Father. I love that. So that's the last topic. I just think that it would make a really good short treks or something.
There's one thing we didn't talk about though. There's one thing that we skipped over, and that is the McCoy and Spock stuff of them having to work to find a cure.
True.
I like that.
I was gonna go over it here during the virus conversation. You're absolutely right. It's true.
I liked when McCoy is on the communicator and he's like, "Oh yeah, beam me down an electronic microscope." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." They can still get their equipment and stuff from the Enterprise and set up
and another great thing is we get networking wireless computing because the communicators connect the computers on the ground to the computers on the ship, and I thought that was really cool concept.
Yeah, very futuristic and. When computers were just the people were generally less familiar with them. It wasn't like today we use computers all the time.
Kirk even computers in this Star Trek future are based on computers from the time, and Kirk even says at one point, "Clear all the computers," as if computers were only they had to clear all the processing that the computers were already doing so they could focus 100% of their computing power on the virus, which is pretty cool. Like a little addition to that. But also Bones' sacrifice actually hit me emotionally when he I know he's affected by the virus and he's in a more advanced stage than everyone else. They keep making light of the fact that they keep, even Miri's older people die faster from the thing, and everyone just kind of looks at Bones like he's definitely the oldest person in the group there. And and it was great. And when he injects himself, and the whole transformation scene looks good too when his virus starts to fade away. And it actually gave me a huge sense of relief that he was okay. I was actually even though I know everything turns out right, I still got caught up in the moment. It was a very good and effective way of doing it. So kudos for pointing that out.
Now I have a question. What do you think of the overacting in this episode?
That's the thing. I don't think there was.
Yeah, it was just a different style. Things were stagey. The performances were more broad. You just it was a stagier way of filmmaking, of cinema, of storytelling.
To me, I think quite a bit of overacting. Like McCoy when he hypo sprays himself, he's like, ah!
but I think it's true. I don't know. I don't know where. I got to see if I could find the interview. But there's someone in the cast of Star Trek that remarked how technology itself was a hindrance to subtle performance on Star Trek because of the way the even microphones worked, and just the technology of capturing performances was still closer to stagecraft than it was to, like in Picard, they say the microphones are so sensitive that you could pick up like a heartbeat, or something like that. Like you can get really, like you can really whisper, or like talk very softly like this, which you couldn't do on TOS. You had to like enunciate a little louder. So because just technology in general, whether it was like available technology or what they had access to at their budgets, I don't know. But regardless, it was and Star Trek's never been like a top budget show. Like I don't want to.
They spend a lot of money on these new shows.
They do, yeah.
Discovery and Picard and Lower Decks have pretty big budgets.
Yeah,
and even the original series had a huge budget for the 1960s. It was a very expensive show.
Yeah, I guess you're right, but it wasn't the most expensive show on TV, certainly.
The animated series was very expensive. It was
Really?
It was the most expensive animated show because they had to pay all those actors. But
not only that, it was made in a different country.
The animated series?
Yeah, it was the animation's made in a different country. It's not.
No, it was all Filmation did everything here in the United States.
You look at it; it says the animation's done in a different country.
Which country do you know, Chris?
I don't remember which one. I'd have to look it up, but I was looking at it, I'm like, really? They made the animation in a different country here? It was
send us, after the show, send us some of that info if you can find it, because that would be cool to look into.
Because I think it's in the end credits of the show, because I was looking at it when I was watching on CBS All Access recently. I was like,
that's
really?
No, I think what you were saying is like they have like if there's like different like voice tracks or stuff like they've added later for like other other languages, like they add that in the end credits on the streaming services. But all the like if in the book, in the official guide, they talk about that was like an important thing for Filmation was to do everything in the United States.
In the United States. Robbie Duffield, yes, I have seen Raised by Wolves and I love it. And we're trying to convince Father to see it, but he's not going to see it until after he finishes The Expanse with Antonia.
Because I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch Star Trek. I watch Star Trek and I read comic books. And that's kind of all my entertainment. That's all I need.
I suffer from the same kind of problem, but I did watch this, and it's really, 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 really good science fiction, I have to say.
William Shatner's daughter shows up at the very end of this episode. Like, that's the girl that Shatner's holding at the end of the episode. But is that also the same girl that...
in Star Trek 5?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Isn't she also in Star Trek 5?
I think it's a different daughter, but I might be wrong.
I know that she's also in Star Trek 5.
Is she the same daughter that's in the minivan commercials that came out during Star Trek 5? Do you remember those for the Dodge Caravan? And she would be driving with William Shatner. Anyways, and it was like a shuttlecraft. It would like it would drive off into the cosmos. No blah blah. We're gonna end this conversation soon. It's true. We keep talking and talking. I say that this episode was a lot better than I remembered. I didn't like watching it as a kid. It used to frighten me. By the way, one thing I just have to mention this. I don't know if you felt the same, but the scene when Captain Kirk and Miri first come to the hideout, and the one diseased only comes and basically jumps on Kirk and he has to like shake her off. It reminded me of the choreography, the like shaking off fight choreography. Reminded me of Star Trek 5 when the cat woman jumps on Captain Kirk, and it totally reminded me of that same choreography. And it was really
jumping on Kirk. They just can't keep their hands off of him.
They really can't. It's terrible. But I just want to. What's that?
You guys, I gotta head out. So.
Oh, you're gonna miss it. We're right at the end. All right.
No, but I gotta go. It's almost 4:00. I gotta.
All right, goodbye. Thanks for being on. Live long and prosper. Yay! That was so cool. See, Starfleet Boy is full of surprises. You never know what can happen on Starfleet Boy. That was cool. We've tried a couple times with Chris, and his tech usually doesn't work, so that was really nice to have him on here. I love that he was just like doing his thing the whole time at the museum where he works, which is really cool. Oh, we love Chris. It was so cool to have you on, Chris. Thank you. No, I just think that as an adult, I enjoyed it a lot more. I really tuned into the sci-fi aspect of this episode, and even though I wasn't in agreement with its plausibility, there were enough really great things about this episode to actually raise it. It's definitely getting more than a 4.7 for me, and I'm going to give it an 8, a solid 8, because I enjoyed it that much.
I want to give it a 5.47.
So it's 5.47
bonk bonks on the head out of 10.
Excellent.
Like, well, I'm kind of neutral on it, but I barely lean positive. And there's nothing in this episode that I think is particularly bad, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't stand out to me. I do kind of have some issues, I guess, with some of the stuff we mentioned before about like trying to seduce a child is weird. But I get what they were doing, like at the time.
I don't think so. I just want to say that, like, I know that I don't know if we'll ever agree on this, but to me, I don't think he was trying to seduce her more than he was using her attraction to him as a way to manipulate. That's still, it is still weird, but it's a little less. It's a different motivation, right? Like trying to seduce a child.
The writers could have had them solve the problems here in a different way. They didn't have to write it like that.
Yes. So. Yes, I do agree. They didn't have to, but I wonder but I don't think that it was all that bad. I don't think it was as bad as Kirk trying to seduce a child. Although there's always a borderline cringe factor that kind of seeps in, and I think it has to do with the fact that we are a more enlightened people than the ones that were writing the show. Like it's just kind of, in a way, it's kind of refreshing to see that humanity, if we are representatives of humanity, that is, that humanity has like kind of progressed enough to see these things as like being not the way, to present these ideas. Like there's a better way, and it's true. I agree.
But there's a lot in here that's still good. Like I enjoy these characters. I enjoy their performances. And again, the original series always knew how to like make these threats dramatic, and it's not that leisure pace of the Next Generation. And I do prefer the style of Star Trek over Next Gen, so I'm always gonna have some fun watching
it. Daniel gives it 5 blah blah blah. So there you go. 5. We got what? 5 bang. What was it? What was your rating? Was it 5?
5.47.
No, but it was what were they like?
5.47 bonk bonks on the head.
Bonk bonk bonks, and then we get 5 blah blah blahs as well. So it's averaging around.
No blah blah blah.
I don't know. Maybe my 8's a little too high for this, but I'm really feeling it. I'm going to stick with the 8 on this one. But it averages out with Chris's 4.47 and your 5.47 and the 5 that we got so far. I think we can safely bring this episode down to like a 6.5. What do you think?
Sure, that's fair.
As a group, it's just he puts all his. He puts all his points into charm, that Captain Kirk. It's very interesting. Father, I have a question that I raised, I think, last night for a second, or somewhere. I forget where I raised this, but when we get to the which I should have brought up in more earnest, but like I think there is a resemblance to Fletcher and Captain Kirk circa Star Trek 2 with the hair and everything like that. Go back and watch and see if you see it. I think there's like a weird resemblance.
Curly hair.
Yeah,
but that's more of like a Shatner of the 80s than
it's true. Thank you for tuning in, audience. We really appreciate all your comments and also sharing your thoughts about this episode and your ratings, which is cool because it does affect the final rating. Everyone who's been watching, please don't forget to smash the like button so that we can confound the algorithm, the YouTube algorithm, which I
Smash
believe
it like you're trying to bonk it on the head.
bonk the like button on the head. And then if you like this series, please tune in next week. We try to get here every Saturday at 3 p.m. to talk about Star Trek the original series. What's our episode?
Also,
we can talk about it. What's our episode next week? I can't remember. It's Dagger of the Mind's Eye. Is that what it's called?
Dagger of the Mind.
Dagger. What's Dagger of the Mind's Eye? What am I conflating it with? Dagger of the Mind.
Yeah, which is a fun episode because there is a very strong Next Generation connection to it when we have a Next Generation cast member in this episode.
We have a TNG cast member in Dagger of the Mind?
Yeah.
Is it the actor who plays Lethe? No. Oh, is that Diana Muldaur?
Yes.
No. That is Diana Muldaur. Oh my gosh. Holy moly. I forgot. That's right.
So Dr. Pulaski is in as a different character. But she is.
That's so right. Oh, I'm so excited to rewatch. I haven't rewatched it.
Was smoking hot in the 1960s. She is beautiful in the Starfleet.
I remember that. I know who you're talking about. It's the attaché that goes down with Noel. Wow, Dr. Wells, right? No, that Noel Wells is the actor who plays
Helen Noel.
Helen Noel. Very, very cool. Anyways, that's exciting. I can't wait to talk to you about that one. Maybe we'll do a live.
I think I got it wrong. No, that's.
You made an error.
That was a different. This one's Marina Hill. So who am I thinking of? Who is Diana Muldaur? She was two characters.
She is in the TOS, but I didn't remember what episode she comes in. I remember that she was. Well, we'll have to look it. We'll have to look it up. But while you look it up, Father.
Okay,
I will just say I'll close out and say we also do Starfleet Boy After Dark, which I think next week or whenever the Diana Muldaur episode comes on, we'll definitely do one of our live watch-alongs, which will be really fun to do for that episode. And I do remember Diana Muldaur was really pretty, but I'm trying to remember this character from this episode. Very cool. This upcoming episode. And then Thursdays we do our live reactions for Starfleet for Star Trek Lower Decks with Text Trek, and then Fathery and I Fridays will do. Well, I've been privileged to be on the last two episodes of Text Trek's super cool deep dive into Lower Decks, which is a lot of fun. I highly recommend you guys come.
Every Friday at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central.
Part of TQIF, and then
TQIF every Friday.
And then we have Starfleet Boy After Dark. So thank you for joining us for all the content. We'll see you in a little bit over at Text Trek, which will be at 4 p.m. Eastern time.
An hour. Yeah, so whatever time it is now, wherever you are, in 53 minutes from now, we'll be live on the Text Trek channel to talk about
tight schedule. It's gonna be a tight schedule because right after that we're hopping from stream to stream. We're hopping from stream to stream because we'll be on A Question of Trek.
She's in Return to Tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And then she's in Is There in Truth No Beauty, but she's a different character of that. She's not Starfleet in that.
She's in 2 Star Trek the Original Series episodes. That's great.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Very, very cool. All right. Father, anything else to promote? I think we covered everything, right?
That's everything. But yeah, if y'all aren't sick of us yet, there's going to be a lot more Fathery and Starfleet Boy today, so don't miss it.
Indeed, there will. And we have a tropical storm here in Florida. It's very interesting outside my window right now. So anyways, live long and prosper, and we'll see you next